Center here with your winter 2011-2012 outlook. This is the third edition. I'm briefly going to go over some things. First, I wanted to go over why in May, because a lot of people keep going back to the May forecast and saying that this is crazy. Um, but this is what I was going off of for May. The NAO, for the most part, was predominantly positive, was more of a positive thing all before the first forecast in May, but then all of a sudden you look at the forecast now and then started going negative as we ended up in the last portions of May. Yes, there were a few portions of negative, especially in late January and then late March and into early April. We had those slight places of negatives, but for the most part we were predominantly positive with the NEO, and that's what prompted me to go with the more positive, with a more average and warmer forecast. Now, lately we've seen the NAO for most of the summer for several months at a time, almost starting August 5th, June 5th to about August 10th, where it was all negative. So a good couple months it remained negative, and then it really didn't go that far positive. If anything, it stayed closer to neutral. The largest portion of the positive we should see is practically around today, around September 16th. I need to take another look at the NAO to see if it's projecting farther into the negative, to the neutral phase, or into negative again. But it did the same thing in May, and as you saw earlier, it did the same thing as we headed into May. It kind of hiccuped a little bit, but went back negative. So I expect the same thing possibly to happen with the NAO. I try to look at the patterns and the trends, because other than that, it's very hard to tell what the NAO is going to do. So this is the old forecast. The only thing that's different is I don't believe the NAO, that the temperatures will be that cold. I don't believe it'll be that much colder than the average. I think it'll be cold. Right down here is the wild card area. I'll explain that later. You'll see this is my old forecast. Some people said that this was too far south, and I believe that maybe the light blue should have been right there instead of the dark blue. So that's one of the changes that I'll probably make in my final forecast. But as for right now, I'm sticking with this. Where you see this light blue right here where it says wild card, I expect that to possibly change to colder than average by winter. So all of you who are going off right now or jumping off a cliff, don't worry, that'll probably change back to colder than average by winter time. Right now I'm 50-50. I'm leaning towards a colder than average winter for you guys, but it's still up in the air for me. I don't like to make a forecast one way or the other if it's not 60-40. At least 60-40 when it comes to that. Colder than average, not as cold as in my last forecast if you're in certain areas that I'm circling right now. Colder than average: DC, Baltimore, Richmond, Philadelphia, New York City, Boston, areas like that. I think it'll be colder than average, just slightly, areas in Kentucky, and as you head off into areas of Montana, and then even into areas of eastern Oregon. Washington State, the cold area will be in the upper Midwest and the interior parts of the Northeast, where I believe it will be much colder than average. I don't believe this will be a typical La Niña year. I think it will be more of a La Niña like last year. Only difference is I do not expect the same areas to constantly miss snow. I think it'll be more widespread. Slightly warmer than average if you head off to the southeast. Practically, that's been the trend for the past few months. I expect that trend to possibly continue. Slightly above average when it comes to temperatures. There will be some times when they're colder than average. Drier than average in the southeast is right. If you're north of that line, I probably drew that too far to the north, but I'll fix that later on. That's another small error. But other than that, drier than average. You get the feel. If you're in the areas of the southeast, they'll be probably drier than deep south. Probably drier than average. Equal chances over most of the west. Carolinas, I believe right now you're equal chances, but once again, there's certain areas of you in the wild card area, so stay tuned to that. Above average precipitation as you head up into the Pacific Northwest, and as you head up into areas of Minnesota, and then as you head up into the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, another above average year. I don't this much above average. I think I put it a little bit too far to the north. Right now I'm accounting for, this is more of a February thing. If you were in the month of February, I believe that's when the storm tracks will start shifting farther to the west, and the La Niña will start to take more of an effect, and that's when you'll see you're much above precipitation. Probably if you're in this area right here, you're probably going to be much above, which is a little bit to the farther to the west and to the southwest. A little bit farther to the east and a little southeast of where this range is particularly. So when you put it all together, winter battle zone, which means there will be several episodes. I believe this is where I believe there will be several episodes of snowy systems, of wintry systems. Whether it be snow, ice, sleet, or rain, there will be that wintry battle between them, and we're gonna have some battles will end up as being all snow, some will be ice, some will be rain, some will be all of the above if you're in that area. But I believe that's where the focus of the winter will be, or the battle area for snow, rain, snow, sleet will be. I believe that if you're farther into the interior parts of the Northeast and in the Midwest, around, for example, like Chicago, I believe it will be cold, snowy, icy. Buffalo, cold, snow and ice. What's new? But areas like central Pennsylvania that have been missed by the snow for the past several years, I believe, will probably get into the action this year. Cold and snow and ice, possibly for the Pacific Northwest. Mild and average precip as you head up into the west. Most of the west, drier than average, milder, warmer than average, and drier than average along the Gulf Coast states. And as I said, you guys around Atlanta and areas of Oklahoma and areas of South Carolina and eastern North Carolina, I say around average now, but you're the wild card. You could be in the winter battle zone, and that's cold and snow and ice. That means that will probably be pushed down about this much. So the winter battle zone would include this area right here. So that's probably what's going to happen, and we're going to have to see how this all plays out. This is the September 10th 2011 update of the winter outlook. This is the third update. If you have any questions, go to www.weathervance.com and leave a comment, or www.weathervance.com/weathertalk. You have a better chance of me answering your questions there. And other forecasters will be there as well to answer questions. And it's also that's also a place where you can just talk about weather, post your weather photos, and it's a nice environment to talk about weather. And that's what it was made for. So don't hesitate to go there. So this is your third edition of the Winter Outlook 2011-2012. And we will try to get the last one to you. Myself and Miller will try to get the last one to you by late October, most likely, sometime around October, November. So this is forecaster John David Brownwell, and I hope you enjoy the weather, because it's the only weather we've got, as meteorologist Joe Bastardi said. And I hope you have a wonderful fall and a wonderful winter.